Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ontario Cryptids. I'm glad you're here because today we've got 4 truly unusual encounters that kind of make you question everything we think we know about the world we live in. These stories are strange, thought-provoking, and guaranteed to linger long after you're done listening. Before we jump in, don't forget to like, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell, and hype the video to help the channel climb the leaderboard. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, consider becoming a channel member. You'll get awesome perks like member shoutouts, exclusive chat rooms, and weekly member discussions. And as always, if you have an encounter of your own, we'd love to hear it. Just send your stories to ontariocryptids@gmail.com. Now sit back and relax, and let's dive into these mysterious encounters. My boyfriend and I live in a trailer park in Tennessee. There's a bunch of hills, and at the bottom of one of those hills, it exits to the park, and there's a set of train tracks. I had felt uneasy taking that turn that would lead us down near the tracks, but still in the park. Around 8 or 9 p.m., we had made it to about halfway down the set of tracks. On one side was a house pretty close to the tracks, and then a large black void of shadow near a sign. I was about 50 or 60 feet from it, and I felt like leaving. Just something felt off, and I told him that I'd like to go back to see the cows in our backyard. Later he told me he hadn't heard me, but about 2 steps later he told me to turn back and leave. He'd seen something. A being that was about 8.5 feet tall, blue eyes, and a white torso. We started hightailing it, and I looked back about 3 times. Each time I saw something. It had black legs of some kind, and above that a white torso, but it was half the size of what he had seen. Maybe he went on all 4s, or it changed shape. I could make out shoulders, but nothing above it. We made it back to the path. It had followed us off the tracks. I could see it just step off of the right side of them, and then we turned and kept walking. We made it back to the house. After saging, a method used to cleanse the space of negative energy, I had to stop by the car for my phone. I saw it standing in the opposite yard across from my car. I ran into the passenger side and slammed the door shut. I found my phone, and I leaned over the seat, and it was gone. I heard tapping on the driver's side door and a distorted children's laughter. I called my boyfriend, and he stood guard while I ran back to the house. I might be able to debunk the children's laughter as that from the house on the opposite side of the road diagonally from where I saw the ghost. But it sounded like it was coming from where I heard the tapping. We have a rosary in the car, and I had been saged, but I still felt afraid. I double-saged the house and myself, but I don't know what I saw or if it could come back. Any ideas what we're dealing with? We had been hearing noises all night in the brush that were either a large animal or humans. Eventually, when the sounds were close to the camp, I either wanted to confront the humans as we were in a remote area or identify the animal to see if there was any cause for concern. I shined a bright flashlight into the brush, and I saw 5 pairs of large round front facial eyes reflecting back at me. There was a set taller than the others, one a foot shorter, and several feet of varying heights below that. They moved towards the clearing, and one stepped out of position about 4 feet off the ground. It moved back and forth almost cat-like and then rose 4 feet into the air. Judging by the behavior and front-facing eyes, I knew it might be a predator of sorts, and had my friend next to me get into his stent as I did the same. I did not know the slope of the land at the time, so I wasn't sure how tall the original eyes were. But examining the spot in the morning, I realized the tallest was anywhere from 7 to 8 feet or more in height. Later on, when we calmed down and came out after making noises to hopefully scare them off, I was sitting on a stump facing this area, and I heard a loud hissing sound, and I saw a figure darting out across the clearing, though I couldn't see any defining features. We saw large imprints in the mud in the morning, though I couldn't tell if they were from us or not. I don't know what to make of this, but after we came out of our tents, there was a rock next to my towel that I had been sitting on that was not there before that. I initially thought it was a Native American hand-carving tool, of which I have identified many before in an amateur archaeological excursions. I examined it with a flashlight and I saw that it did not have the typical knapping marks that identified tools working of Native people, but it had all of the other characteristics of such a tool, with a sharp edge, a flat bottom, and a handhold. I didn't know whether it was related to the encounter or not, and just thought I'd mention it as it was a very strange find. I don't even know where to start, but what happened to me 10 years ago is something I can't forget to this day. No matter how hard I try to rationalize it, I've never found an explanation that makes sense, except that it was something unnatural. I've been married for 2 years, living in an old family house, the kind built decades ago. One day, my mother-in-law fell very ill. I tried to stay by her side and help in every way I could. I decided to spend the night at her place just in case she needed me if she woke up during the night. That night, my husband's niece also stayed over at her grandmother's. So it was the 3 of us in one room. I told them, "You both sleep on the bed and I'll sleep on the floor." And I laid a blanket on the tiles, wrapped myself up, and tried to get warm. It was winter, cold enough that the wind howled through the window cracks. Midnight passed and everything was completely still, the kind of silence where you can hear your own heartbeat. I was just about to drift off when I suddenly felt something strange. Someone was breathing beside me, a warm breath, so close, too close. It was right above the blanket covering me. At first I thought I was imagining it, but no, the sound was real, heavy, laboring breathing. My heart started pounding and sweat ran down my face, even though the air was freezing. I slowly reached towards the lamp beside me, but before I could touch it, I felt a foot pressed down on mine. A real solid step, heavy, not my imagination. Every muscle in my body froze. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I held my breath, staring at the blanket as I shifted slightly. Something was crawling across it, slowly, deliberately. I gathered every ounce of courage I had, and with a trembling hand I yanked the blanket off of me in one motion. Nothing, no one, not a sound. The room was locked from the inside, the key still in its place. I turned to look at my mother-in-law and the girl. They were fast asleep, faces calm, breathing evenly. There was no one else in the room. Then I looked down at the floor and I gasped. The blanket was crumpled near my feet, as if someone had really been standing there. Terrified, I bolted onto the bed between them, pulled the covers up, and stared at the ceiling until dawn. I couldn't close my eyes, not even for a second. When daylight finally crept through the window, I felt like I had survived by some miracle. I got up and froze again. On my foot, right where I had felt the pressure, was a red mark. Not a bruise, not a bump, but a strange print like a hand or finger burnt into my skin. It looked as if something hot, something not human, had touched me. Ever since that night, whenever I remember what happened, my heart starts racing. I can't call it a dream or a hallucination. I was fully awake. I heard every breath, every movement. I felt the cold sinking into my bones and a weight on my foot. And the thing that still haunts me, the thing that convinces me I wasn't alone that night, is that feeling, that undeniable sense that something was in the room with me, something that wasn't human. This happened back in 2018, and to this day, I still think about it way too often. My boyfriend and I were coming back from a friend's house late at night around midnight. I want to make it really clear before I start. We were 100% sober. No alcohol, no drugs, no lack of sleep. Just two regular people heading home after a normal night. At the time, my boyfriend and I didn't live together, so he was driving me home to my old place. The area I lived in was really wooded, big trees everywhere, barely any streetlights. To get to my street, you had to stop at a sign right next to the neighborhood playground, a fenced-in pool, and then a stretch of dark woods behind it. That stop sign ended up being the longest stop of my life. We pulled up to the sign and just sat there. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed movement. At first, I thought maybe it was someone walking near the playground, but when I turned to look, I honestly didn't know what I was seeing. There was something standing there, tall, like at least 8 feet tall. It looked like a person at first, but then I realized it had massive wings or some kind of flaps hanging from its arms. The wings weren't like bird feathers, more like leathery sheets that caught the light weirdly. It was standing upright, kind of hunched, like it didn't want to belong in its own body. It turned its head slightly, like it was looking towards the right side of the pool, and then it started running. The way it moved was wrong. It was fast, like way too fast than any human could run, and in one motion, it leaped over the fence surrounding the pool. The whole thing looked effortless. It just cleared the fence and kept going until it disappeared into the woods. I froze. I didn't even say a word. I didn't even breathe. Then my boyfriend, without saying anything, spoke in the calmest but most terrified voice I've ever heard. He said, "Yes, I saw it too." That's when I knew it wasn't in my head. We both saw the same thing. After that, he slowly started driving. He dropped me off at my house, which unfortunately backed up to the woods. I could tell he didn't even want to walk me to the door, and honestly, I didn't blame him, but he did it anyway. The entire time, we both kept glancing at the tree line, half expecting to see something standing there watching. We didn't talk much that night after he left, but for days afterwards, we kept bringing it up, trying to make sense of it. What was it? A person in a costume? Some kind of animal? Neither of us could come up with a single explanation that fit what we saw. To this day, no one believes us. Family and friends just laugh it off or say we must have been tired or mistaken, but we know what we saw. It was real. Every time I drive near that intersection, even now, I get this awful sinking feeling like something still lingers there. Whatever it was, I don't think it wanted to be seen. Thanks so much for listening all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed these 4 unusual encounters, each one a reminder that our world is stranger than we often realize. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell, and hype the video to help Ontario Cryptids grow. A huge thank you to all the channel members. Your support is truly appreciated. And if you're not a member yet, feel free to check out the perks and join our exclusive chats and weekly member discussions. Remember, if you have an encounter of your own, send it to ontariocryptids@gmail.com, and I'd love to feature it in a future episode. Have a fantastic weekend and a great week ahead, and stay curious. I'll see you next time right here on Ontario Cryptids.